For nearly a millennium, the Officers' Academy at Garrigmok Monastery has opened its doors to Fodlan's brightest minds. But what if that same opportunity was granted to other heroes from different timelines or worlds? This is a concept I've been considering for some time now. Fargas did the same thing several years back, and I found that series to be quite enjoyable. So I thought I'd toss my hat into the ring. I'm really excited to share what I've created, because I really did my best to try to translate each hero into 3 houses as best as possible, while remaining faithful to the source material. Whether that be through mechanically with base stats, growths, crests, proficiencies, weaknesses, spell lists, what have you, to more personal information, such as personal histories, close allies, likes, dislikes, interests, etc. To further distinguish these heroes, I have given each of them a unique class and unique equipment, along with a rough idea for a Prologue to unlock said class and equipment. A lot of effort was put into this, including artwork and voiceover, so I really hope y'all enjoy. Now, let's meet our new inductees.
Hello, Professor. My name is Alear. It's funny, even though we've never officially met, I already feel connected to you somehow.
Everyone's favorite toothpaste dragon is here, and I tried to capture her decent physical frontlining capability along with her great support, very similar to her optimal playstyle in Engage, which I often ignore when I use her, because normally when I use her as a straight up frontliner because brave attack arts go brr. Her base stats are the following: 26 HP, 8 strength, 2 magic, 8 dex, 9 speed, 5 luck, 6 defense, 4 res, and 8 charm. While her growth rates are the following: 70% HP, 45% to strength, 30% to magic, 45% to dex, 50% to speed, 40% to luck, 40% to defense, 30% to res, and 60% to charm. In Engage, Alear is a physical frontline support with a glaring magical weakness. So I wanted to translate that here with a high strength, dex, and speed with low res and abysmal magic. I gave her high charm due to her being the leader of an army after quite literally waking up from a millennium of slumber. That means, like the other lords, she'll be great with battalions, though she'll find use in drawing beasts' attention and impeding enemy advances. Absurd HP growth matches her original growth, meaning she'll be able to take several hits, much like how she could in Engage. Alear's strengths are sword, brawling, and authority, while her weaknesses are in reason and faith. Alear was never really proficient in magic. She only really incorporates her own divine magics into her style during critical blows as a divine dragon, and only in brawling. However, her natural swordplay abilities and flowing martial arts style make for easy proficiencies, and with how naturally her allies follow her, it slots her right into a battlefield leader. Her budding talent is in flying due to her experience flying around the Somniel, and for her budding talent skill, she'll get the darting blow skill, improving her already fast combat. Alear has her own unique crest, and that's the Crest of the Connector. Occasionally, it reduces damage dealt to her during combat. As for her personal ability, I carried over her own ability from Engage, Divinely Inspiring. Divinely Inspiring causes adjacent allies to deal 3 additional damage and take 1 less damage during combat. This is great for her overall support, making her useful even as her stats fall inevitably short. For combat arts, Alear learns the Sunder art for swords, 1-2 combo, and Draining Blow for brawling, and can access her own unique art, Dragon Blast, a brave hit art that deals damage based on the foe's defense on the first hit, and then res on the second. Alear's spell list is quite limited, and they're not very potent. For reason spells, she gets Fire, Thunder, and Sagittate, and for Faith, she gets Heal and Nosferatu and Recover. Again, magic is not her strong suit, though I built her more as a physical fighter. For her authority skills, she gets Rally Speed at D, Battalion Renewal at C, Battalion Advantage at B, and finally Rally Movement at S. Alear's unique class is the Divine Dragon, a wielder of swords and gauntlets. From this class, she gains the following skills. Bond Forger is the first skill, which grants all adjacent allies all stats up of 4 for 1 turn, when Alear defeats a foe during combat. Next skill she gets is Fistfair for overall extra might when brawling, and finally she gets Boon of Elios, which grants bonus to crit and crit avoid equal to 2 times the number of allies who have already acted during the turn when she initiates combat. The bonus growths she receives from this class help give her a little bit more bulk, in case she wasn't taking enough. Her unique weapon is the Dragon's Fist, a special set of gauntlets that give her, and anyone who you may give the Crest of the Connector to, access to the Dragon Blast combat art. Her unique paralogue is called Echoes of the Connector. This takes place just outside an abandoned cathedral reminiscent of the Somnium. It's an escort mission, where Alear is a green unit, and you have to protect her as she makes her way to 5 other green fabrication units, a paladin, a hero, a dismounted paladin, a darkflyer, and finally a warlock, each representing a specific character from Elios. For each of these units you are unable to save. The boss gains a health bar, max of 3. Finally, with all the mechanics out of the way, we can look at Alear's profile. In some unspecified year, she was born in Elios. In 180, she defeated the fell dragon Sombron in mortal combat, only to succumb to her wounds shortly thereafter. In 1180, she awoke from a millennium-long slumber and led an army to defeat Sombron once again. And after defeating him in the portal between worlds, instead of returning to Elios, she is sucked into Fodlan, and is enrolled in the Officers' Academy by Rhea, who I imagine would be quite interested in this new visitor's latent power. As for the other parts of her personal profile, her interests include stories of legendary heroes, meeting new people, and animals. Her likes include her adopted mother, making her friends smile, and maintaining equipment. Chose the equipment because she'd likely try to find something to replace the Emblem polishing. I was really tempted to put sleeping because gosh darn it, a dragon needs her beauty sleep, and Alear takes every moment she can get. For those unfamiliar, let's just say there's a reason wake-up events exist in that game. Understood? Cool. Enough said. Her dislikes include watching others suffer, excessive attention, and monsters. I chose excessive attention due to the sheer number of times in supports she asks everyone to stop treating her like a freaking goddess and just more like a normal person. And monsters because the corrupted. Oh boy, first time she meets a demonic beast. Lastly, for close allies, I chose Rhea and Dimitri. Rhea because I imagine Alear would find a familiar comfort in the draconic presence Rhea has, likely remembering Lumera, and because Rhea would take an interest in her, for reasons that are completely benevolent and I'm sure not at all connected, seeing Alear's emblem form as a potential power conduit, I'm sure. I chose Dimitri because it kinda just feels right. He'd likely remind her of Alfred and Diamant, and if the two ever get on the topic of nightmares and dreams, there's a lot related to fire and flame the two could connect over.
I'll use what I've learned to protect everything under the sky. If I truly am to make my own fate, then I must learn everything I can while I'm here.
Ah yes, Corrin. Things should be looking up for her now that she's in Fodlan. I mean, she finally gets a pair of shoes so she can explore to her heart's content, free from any family drama, right?
I've been looking for you. I will take that head from your shoulders and hang it from the gates of Endor!
Right. Absolutely nothing that would trigger any painful memories or lingering trauma. She'll be fine. At least physically, because her base stats are nice. Modest, but still nice. She has 25 HP, 7 strength, 4 magic, 7 dex, 6 speed, 5 luck, 6 defense, 2 res, and 9 charm. Not only that, but her growth rates mirror her bonkers growth in her homeworld. 60% to HP, 60% to strength, 40% to magic, 50% to dex, 55% to speed, 55% to luck, 45% to defense, 30% to res, and 50% to charm. With her overall great growths and decent bases, barring res, Corrin would make a good overall unit. You can stick her into pretty much any role and she'll fulfill it. For her strengths, Corrin maintains her proficiency with the sword, but also gains proficiency with lances, because her draconic appendages could very well function like lances, and flying, because dragons and wings is a pretty obvious choice. Corrin's budding talent is surprisingly in heavy armor. When you unlock that talent, Corrin gains the Seal Speed skill. As for weaknesses, I had to think of something, though I came up with axes. Like Alear, Corrin comes with her own unique crest, the Crest of the Silent Dragon, which sometimes stops counterattacks when using combat arts. Her personal skill is called Supportive, the name stolen from one of her own skills from Fates. However, it functions a bit differently here. At the start of turn, Supportive restores 10% HP to all adjacent allies. This is basically quality time from Engage, but for adjacent allies instead of just the Engage unit. For her combat arts, Corrin gets the Sunder, Bane of Monsters, and Windsweep arts, and a unique sword art in Torrential Roar. Much like Alear, Corrin's spell list is limited. Her reason spells are mainly ice-based, since that was the closest type to water. Need I explain why? She learns Blizzard, Sagittae, and Thimble better. As for her faith spells, she gets Heal, Nosferatu, and Seraphim. These spells, combined with her combat arts and high charm, make her great at taking on demonic beasts. It's kinda poetic in my mind. She often worries about becoming a rampaging dragon herself, so to have part of her kit be specialized in defeating monsters mirrors her own efforts to contain the monster within. For her authority skills, Corrin gains access to the Rally Speed and Dexterity skills, as well as Battalion Desperation and Battalion Wrath. Corrin's unique class is the Monarch class, mainly focusing on the sword and debuffing the enemy. The skills she gains from this class are the following: Draconic Hex, which inflicts all stats -2 on the enemy after combat if she initiates and they survive. Swordfare for increased might while using swords, and finally Dreadful Aura, which inflicts -1 movement on the foe after combat. Her unique weapon is her Yato, which allows those who possess the Crest of the Silent Dragon to perform the Torrential Roar combat art. To unlock both of these, much like Alear, Corrin brings her own unique paralogue called Faded Bloodlines. It takes place on a new map, one located in the Chasm by Garreg Mach, where Byla spent the entire time skip unconscious. Corrin is enveloped by a familiar song, entranced by an echo reminiscent of a very certain songstress. Much like in Revelations, Corrin follows said songstress, which leads to the map. This would be a large 3-way battle with 2 phases. The first phase involves taking on both armies. However, there's a little more to this one than just routing the enemy. If you were to bring Corrin to the enemy commanders, you would get them to join you for phase 2, which entails a battle against a large dragon-like beast. Completion of this paralogue unlocks her uniques. Now, with all the mechanics done, we can look further into her profile. Corrin was born in Vala, the year 1161 to Anankos and Mikoto, before Mikoto fled to Hoshido. In 1165, she was kidnapped by Garen and taken to Nor. In 1180, she unites the Hoshidan and Norian armies and defeats Anankos in Vala. And finally, in that same year, she arrives in Fodlan and is admitted into the Officers' Academy. Her likes include her family, making new friends, and learning new things, while she dislikes betrayal, unnecessary conflict, and cruelty towards the innocent. Her interests include music, romance, and nature. For close allies, I feel like she'd see some of herself in Flayn, as both have experienced being excessively sheltered while wishing to explore the outside world. Similarly, I feel like she'd latch onto Edelgard if she ever were to overhear what the latter experienced deep in Enbar's dungeons, whereas Edelgard would hear of Corrin's struggles to unify her home and seek advice from her.
Thank you. Now I know the path I chose was the right one.
I hear you're quite the tactician. Do you care if I pick your brain a little? Well, here there be dragons. Many, many dragons. Robin, like he is in any world, would be one of the premier magic users. Not only that, he's also rather well-rounded. His base stats are the following: 26 HP, 7 strength, 8 magic, 7 dex, 7 speed, 6 luck, 6 defense, 4 res, and 10 charm. He also has some pretty good growth rates. 55% HP, 50% to strength, 45% to magic, 35 to dex, 35 to speed, 55 to luck, 35 to defense, 25 to res, and 60% to charm. Robin has really high defense for a magic user, and that's reflected here as well. Believe me, there's a reason for this. Also, him having the most absurd charm ever makes him a battalion god. Look, when you're part of the Emblem of Bonds and you're in the top echelons of military leadership in series history, possibly only barred from the top by someone by the likes of Sigurd, absurd charm is a must. Like Alear and Corrin from before, Robin has his own unique crest, and you guessed it, it's the crest of Grima. This crest occasionally raises might during magic attacks. For his strength, Robin maintains his skills with sword, reason, and authority. For weakness, it's heavy armor. Robin is not one to lock himself in a massive suit of armor. A good tactician has to be able to shore up the defenses at a moment's notice. It's kinda hard to do that when you can barely move. As for his budding talent, it's Faith, and when that is unlocked, he gains the Rescue spell. Speaking of spells, we've got a massive list to get through, so let's get going. For his black magic spells, Robin gets Fire, Thoron, Fimbulvetter, Excalibur, and Ragnarok. For white magic, he gets Heal, Nosferatu, Sagittae, Aura, and Abraxas. This keeps him in the strong mage type without stepping on Lysithia's dark magic, or outright replacing a healer like Mercedes. But yes, he does get the most powerful versions of each elemental spell. Look, it's Robin. We have to do that. Up next is Combat Arts. Robin will gain access to Grounder, Bane of Monsters, Haze Slice, and Hexblade. Does this seem like a lot? Well, the fun doesn't stop yet. We still have to get to the Rally and Battalion skills. Robin gains Battalion Renewal, Battalion Desperation, Rally Movement, and a unique Rally skill, Rally Spectrum. In Awakening, Rally Spectrum is a busted 3-tile radius all stats boost to 4. So to honor that ridiculous skill, I'm bringing it here with Robin. Combine that with Rally Movement and you get the idea of what Robin can do. Rally Bot Supreme. This pairs very well with his personal skill, Tactical Genius. What this does is grant all adjacent allies plus 10 hit and avoid during combat. Is this too busted of support combined with all the rally skills? Well, buckle up because we've still got his 2 uniques. Starting with his unique class, the Grandmaster. With the Grandmaster class, Robin gets the following skills. Solidarity, which increases adjacent allies' crit and crit avoid during combat plus 10. Pairs very well with Tactical Genius. He also gets Black Tome Fair, more damage while using black magic. And finally, he gets Keen Insight, which increases damage dealt during combat by 5 if dealing effective damage. Robin doesn't have a unique weapon, rather, he has his own unique equipment much like the Thyrsus or Raphael Gem, a book he carries around called Master's Tactics. I know, very creative. When this book's effect activates, what it does is it adds half of the magic or strength stat to the other value while attacking. Does that sound familiar? Well, for anyone who knows anything about awakening skills, this is Ignis. Can't have Robin without his Ignis now, can we? In order to unlock these uniques, you must complete his unique Prologue, the Altar of Destiny. This map is reminiscent of the battle at the Dragon's Table, including the barrier and the strong enemies reminiscent of the Dead Lords and those crazy reinforcements. Smash several pillars to break the barrier and then approach and take out the commander. Completing this unlocks the Grandmaster class and the Master's Tactics. With all that laid out, we can get back to the personal history. In the year 1179, Robin was discovered by Crom, Lissa, and Frederick in the fields of Elise. Later that year, he led the Elysian army through a great war against Plagia and Valm. And in 1180, he sacrificed himself to defeat Grima once and for all. Finally, instead of waking up in Elise, he wakes in Volden and is just enrolled in the Officers' Academy, and Brea just approves it, I guess. Robin is interested in tactics and philosophy. He likes naps, board games, and helping others, and dislikes failure and sudden scares. For close allies, I feel like he'd want to pick Hubert's keen mind, since the man has a tactical know-how, and the two would probably have some pretty good games of chess. As for the other, I debated between Annette and Lysithea before eventually picking Lysithea because Robin could kinda relate to her given all the concerns he had about his own life. And Lysithea would probably also want to learn all Robin knows about the mystic arts. I mean, I know Annette would too, but I think the Lysithea connection is a little better. A good tactician never rests on his laurels. There is always something more to be learned. Do you really think the Silverbloom School can help me get stronger? Alright, I'll check it out. Alright, yeah, I know Shez technically already spent a few months in the Officers' Academy in Three Hopes, but I already had a concept made for him earlier if he was put in Three Houses, so I'm just bringing that here. And he's a player phase monster, believe me. His base stats are the following: 25 HP, 10 strength, 5 magic, 7 dex, 11 speed, 5 lux, 6 defense, 5 res, and 8 charm. Shez retains his high strength and bonker speed, along with decent stats pretty much everywhere else. I mean, believe it or not, this was actually toned down from Three Hopes. Even barring the HP, he'd solo everything. I mean, seriously, there's nothing below a 9 in that game. His growth rates are again toned down slightly, and then rounded to multiples of 5 or 10, because those growth rates were not pretty to look at. 50 HP, 55 strength, 35 magic, 45 dex, 65 speed, 40 luck, 45 defense, 45 res, and 40 charm. His proficiencies are sword, reason, and axe, while his weakness is in faith. I chose reason given his connection to Arval, and access due to all the axe alts Shez gets in Heroes. I chose faith as a weakness, again because of Arval, who relies more on dark and black magic. Shez's budding talent is in writing, again due to the multiple Shez cav alts we have in Heroes, but his budding skill is one that would fit him even if we didn't have to worry about Heroes, and that's Pass, which allows him to move through enemy spaces. Very fitting for the amount of teleporting we see him do. Shez didn't possess a crest in Three Hopes, and I'm not changing that here. As for skills, Shez's personal skill is Renewed Carnage, which grants him crit +4 after each combat, max of 20. I wanted to reference one of the big mechanics in Warriors, which is Warrior Specials, and since crits are like massive ending attacks, which are basically mini Warrior Specials, I can imagine getting a crit is like that. And believe me, Shez is a crit machine. As for combat arts, he gets the two he started out with in Three Hopes, which is Grounder and Wrath Strike, as well as later he'll get Exhaustive Strike and a Three Houses version of Swift Slice. Like in Hopes, Swift Slice does massive damage and is effective against all enemies because it's just that broken in the game, and it's his. As for the spell list, Shez has a very limited spell list because he's not much of a caster. For reason spells, he gets Miasma, Luna, and Dark Spikes. His faith spells are Heal and Nosferatu. For his authority skills, he gets Rally Speed and Battalion Rat. For his uniques, Shez brings over his Azura class unique, and it cements his role as a striker. The skills he gets from that are Dual Wielder's Ploy, which basically grants him player phase brave attacks, Sword Fair for increased might while using the sword, and Shadow Flash, which increases his crit and avoid during player phase. You know, makes him really good if there's one unit you need to delete very quickly. He also gets his unique weapon, which I've called Crimson Edge. There's not really a name for it in Hopes, but this is the sword that Arval gave him, and when it's in his hands, he gains access to the Swift Slice combat art. Now the Prologue to unlock both of his uniques would be called the Voice Within. This is a two-phase battle that functions like a fusion of both secret chapters in Three Hopes. However, this is all taking place in Zaharos. During the first phase, you must defeat a possessed Shez, as well as fend off attacks from Twisted, all without the control of Byleth. Yeah, Byleth is a green unit in this first phase, and is locked in a 1v1 with the possessed Shez. After you knock some sense back into him, Arvel, or rather Epimenides, relinquishes control and appears as the true final boss of the map. He is joined by phantoms of Byleth, Shez, and your chosen house leader, along with other twisted enemies. Defeat him and you are victorious. I'm sure this won't leave any psychological impact on any character going forward. Now with all that done, we can go back to more history. In 1163, Shez was born in Ordelia territory and lived there for an unknown amount of time until he was adopted by a mysterious woman and raised in a mountain village. In 1179, he was nearly killed in mortal combat against the Ashen Demon, and in that next year, he is enrolled in the Officers' Academy at Garrick Loch. For close allies, I think Felix's tunnel vision for improvement and desire to learn pretty much everything about swordplay would result in something very similar, if not identical, to their relationship in Three Hopes. Secondly, I think Shez's background as a merc would greatly interest Leonie, as she herself wants to become a merc one day. Though, I debated between having her and Lysithea due to the latter's connection to Twisted, but since I am not doing repeat characters and Lysithea was already chosen for Robin, I went with Leonie. Lastly, Shez's interests are in mercenary work and getting stronger. He likes seeing his friends smile, his adoptive mother, and not going hungry. He dislikes losing, wasting time, and reading maps. Identical to Three Hopes. I have to keep getting stronger. That way no one can beat me. And that's it. 4 new inductees, all given fleshed out concepts for how they would be like if they were in 3 houses. I hope y'all enjoyed this little thought experiment, although this turned out to be a little more than just little. I wanted to get at least one more 3 houses related video out before Fortune Weave inevitably takes over my interest. However, I do have one other 3 houses video I would like to get out eventually. It just, well, my singing voice has to get better. Thank you to Cute Little Pineapple for providing the voices for Alear and Corrin. Odds are that you'll enjoy her content if you enjoy Fire Emblem and 3 houses, so go check her channel out, link is in the description down below. Lastly, I wasn't originally going to do this, but after thinking about it, if this video gets more than 75 likes, which is a lot for my channel, I'll do a follow-up where I'll take 4 other Fire Emblem characters and give them a concept if they were in 3 houses. Alright, that's it. Hope you enjoyed, and until next time, have a blessed one.